Everyone has told me for years I sound like the whitest black girl ever. Just because you sound this way does not take anything away from how black you are.
Jazz Raycole became a dancer when she was 2, she became an actor when she was 4, and she started out her acting career when she was 6, playing Angela Bassett's daughter on Waiting to Exhale. She was an Alvin Ailey Dance Company member. She was a soloist in the South Carolina Ballet. Right now she's filming season 3 of Lincoln Lawyer. I could not wait to share our wonderful, heartwarming conversation with you all. Hey, hold on. Before we get to the good stuff, would you just take a moment and like this video and subscribe to the channel? It really helps us out. And then also you won't miss any of the exciting weekly conversations I'll be posting. Thank you. Welcome to Unmuted, where we explore how our voice and accents are so much more than just words. I'm dialect coach Audrey LeCrone. Jazz, thank you so much for being here, and cheers.
Cheers.
Oh, that's just straight up vodka. No, I'm just kidding. Oh, it's strong. Just kidding, y'all. Anyway, since we're going to be talking for a little bit, and this is sort of a voice podcast, a voice show,
yes,
we're going to start with a little voice warm-up. So I'm curious, as an actor, what is the little voice warm-up trick that you like to do to quickly warm up or to become resonant?
I do a lot of tongue twisters, and I really have to settle into my voice. So, are you ready for this?
I'm so ready.
Oh, that's like my favorite thing. And then I also repeat affirmations because somehow that grounds me into settling into my truth, which settles me into my voice.
Okay, can we do it together?
Yeah.
Okay. Our sound woman is gonna hate us right now. You ready? Here we go. We can do it 3 times. You're welcome to do it with us at home or in the office or in the car, wherever.
It actually works.
God, that was surprisingly refreshing. Thank you.
I know.
Now I'm ready for these affirmations.
You ready?
Yeah.
Okay, so I have an energy coach. It's very LA, I know. But my affirmations: I am a queen, I am a goddess, I am a divine creation. My words create new worlds. I am blessed everywhere that I go. I light up every room that I walk into. Opportunities, new roles, new jobs are magnetized to me by the light and fire that I am. I am always seen in my power and the light and fire that I am. I am a powerful divine goddess, and I magnetize everything I need, require, and desire. Amen, 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 and so it is.
Oh my God, that made me kind of tear up. Whoa.
Yeah.
That's
so when I'm walking the dog in the morning, like, in order for me to kind of settle into myself,
my God,
it's like once you start to, you see how my voice has already dropped since, right?
Yeah.
Like, it just drops me.
Tears in my eyes?
Yeah. It drops me into a very, like,
ooh,
it grounds me.
Cool.
Yeah.
Do you just kind of say it over and over?
Oh, yeah.
Because
on the 3rd time, I'm like, oh, I believe it. I am a queen.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it takes that and then meditation after that to kind of literally sit there and be like, oh, okay, yeah, I can sit with that.
Wow. And then you kind of feel like your energy just radiates after that, or that's beautiful.
Yeah. It's very interesting. Your voice, my voice specifically, when I'm not grounded, I kind of go up into this higher register and I'm like, oh, no, it's okay. Hi, nice to meet you. Versus when I'm like, oh, no, I'm standing in my power. I'm standing in my truth. There's something about that kind of...
I think that's really common for women.
Yeah.
Especially.
Yeah. We always want to try to make ourselves, especially as Black women too, like we always try to make ourselves seem, not aggressive or angry.
Right, you're so threatening. You're just like a sweet girl.
So we talking like, it's going to be friendly. I'm a friendly. Let me make sure you know. Versus, if I stand in my truth and my power, that doesn't take anything away from me. I'm still a kind, loving human being that shoots from a place of love.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
I'll take that.
Now, as an icebreaker, we've already broken the ice with the woo, but anyway, I have my first question to ask you officially, and that is very important. What accent do you find is sexiest?
Ooh, girl. So I was just talking about this. A really good Jamaican accent.
Oh.
Like a Jamaican accent where you can understand what they're saying.
So not patois. So when they're speaking in English.
Yeah. Jamaican accent or an Irish accent. Totally different ends of the spectrum there.
Yeah.
I also like a Spanish accent, but that's also because I had a Spanish boyfriend. So.
Well, no, that's my next question is why?
The Jamaican accent, I think I spent time around one of my Jamaican friends' families, and it was just such a space of love and camaraderie, and it's like, it's attractive, not in like a sexual way, but just like a loving home, just the family. That's kind of what it is. And then the Irish accent, I think, came from Cillian Murphy, because I just love him.
Shout out to Cillian.
Yeah, shout out to Cillian in everything. And I went down the Peaky Blinder rabbit hole and then started watching a lot of interviews, the very few that he does. And I don't know, it's something about that accent that I just love. Yeah, I don't know. And then the Spanish accent, because I had to endure that.
Wow. Hope he's not listening.
Yeah, thank God.
Oh, man.
I'll listen to this.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I always like to ask why, because it's so fascinating. And accents aren't just sexy for any reason.
Right.
We're attracted to sounds that we are familiar with, or sounds that we've had some sort of experience with. And it's just really cool.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
So now with your own voice and accent, can you describe your relationship to your own voice and accent?
My own voice and I have had a lot of ups and downs. I was made fun of for my voice for years. And I'm still made fun of for my voice. As a 35-year-old woman, I'm still made fun of for my voice.
By whom? Oh, your voice is beautiful.
I'll take that, but my family, when I was growing up, made fun of my voice. I think people see me and I'm a Black woman, but I sound the way that I sound. And a lot of time that doesn't translate, and people automatically assume like, oh, she's putting on something, or this is like, what is that? And it's like, no, I just happened to grow up in the way that I grew up. I went to an all-white school. I was a professional ballerina. My family, Kojic, Church of God in Christ. I lived all over the country. Boston, New York, Jersey, South Carolina. So sometimes when I'm speaking, somebody would be like, are you from the South? And I'm like, no, but like a couple words will sound like I'm from the South. Sometimes I'd sound like I have like a little bit of a Boston twang or a New York twang. My voice is kind of all over the place. But I have been made fun of for it because everyone has told me for years I sound like the whitest Black girl ever. And that's never been my interpretation of it, ever.
How does that make you feel when they call you that?
Oh, I struggled with it. Yeah. It was something that it kind of took away my voice. It took away my truth. It took away me wanting to speak up for myself and to stand up for myself. And when that's kind of stripped away from you, it's kind of like, well, you don't have a voice. Not just a voice that you can hear, but you don't have a voice.
Right.
You cannot use your voice. And if you do use your voice, there's repercussions for it. Not just being a woman and being a Black woman, but also like sounding the way that I sound. There's so many reasons why my voice was just stripped away. And I had to really deal with that. And it was a lot of therapy and a lot of listening and accepting the way that I sound and looking in the mirror and being like, oh, well, I like myself. And if I like myself, I have to accept 100% of myself.
Yeah.
And that includes the way that I sound.
Yeah.
Which is a hard thing to,
It is. Your voice is your identity.
Yeah.
And when people perceive your voice as something that it shouldn't be, or as something that is fake, then it's like, wait, are you saying that my identity is not correct? Like, should I be identifying as something else?
I also think like during this time, everyone's identifying as something, like, I watch a lot of Dr. Phil, I know. But, people are like, as like there's this Black guy who identifies as a white male. It's like, okay, that you're in this society, in this culture, you're allowed to identify with whatever you want to. I identify as non-binary, identify as, not being this race or that. It's like you get to identify as whatever you want. Right. And that is supposed to be seen. You're supposed to be open and free and be able to do that. You're supposed to be able to be as vulnerable as you want to be, and people are supposed to accept it. However, if you don't, I identify as a Black woman. just because I don't sound like what you think a black woman should sound like does not mean I don't identify as a black woman.
Right.
So the conception is like, oh, you hear me and then you automatically assume something, and that's not really what it is.
Yeah.
Which is hard.
Yeah.
You know?
And it's also hard. We all know that someone's opinion of you is just a reflection of their own beliefs.
Yes.
But that's very hard to accept.
Yeah.
Especially when it's at an attack like that.
And it's taken me a lot of time and a lot of work on me and acceptance of myself, and kind of letting go. What is a black woman? What does a black woman sound like? What is that?
Yeah.
And then you it's like growing up and knowing like, okay, there's what our industry has been. There are these black women that are in the industry. And then Kerry Washington comes out of nowhere and you're like, wait, but like there's something, like she doesn't sound like what a quote unquote black woman has supposed to have been sounding like for however long. It's the concept and the idea of what blackness is has been now expanded and is continually expanding. It's evolving. And I don't even know if it's evolving necessarily more so as it is just being more inclusive of black voices.
Right.
There's not one type of black. There's not one type of anything, but there's not one type of black. And just because you sound this way does not take anything away from how black you are. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, absolutely. And I think that's a really, really, really good point to make, because especially as we are, thank God, seeing more blackness in the culture, then that is something, it's a perception that needs to be addressed. Of like, it can be a culture, but it's also just a skin color. We're just all fucking people.
Yeah.
We're all, this is a hard concept to grasp, but we're all just fucking people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's such an interesting juxtaposition. And I find it happens a lot when I meet people now to this day. And it's something that I used to do the code switching thing.
Yeah.
And my mom tells me a story about when I was growing up. And I had a white friend, a black friend, and a Hispanic friend. And to my white friend, he'd be like, oh my God, like, it's like, and to like my black friend, like, yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, it was a very specific idea of code switching between different people. And my mom's like, you have to just be you. But that didn't sink in until maybe like a couple years ago.
Right. But what is that? What is just
what
you?
Is that? Yeah. And that's what I'm talking about, like the therapy and me understanding like, oh no, how I wake up and when I'm doing my affirmations, that's me. I have to tap into that. I have to tap into me. I have to tap into what my truth is.
Right.
At all costs.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, me code switching and trying to appease this person, that person, this person to be whatever you think that I should be is never going to work. And I will be perpetually unhappy.
Yeah.
Perpetually.
The way I was telling Dominique Fishback this on this show as well, the way we sound, our accent, I know she's the best, isn't she? The way we sound is a culmination of who loved us when we were growing up. So who we were exposed to, basically, and what we were exposed to, or what we loved. So I like to say it's who loved us and what we loved.
Yeah.
And so if you love ballet, that's pretty white.
I was the only black girl in ballet class. I was the only black girl at school until I was homeschooled. And it was very interesting because my family's from Stockton. Like my mom is one of 8 kids. I grew up around a very big black religious Christian Kojic family. You know what I'm saying? But when I was not home in Northern California, I'm here in LA and everything around me is very different than what family is.
So is that why your family doesn't accept the way you sound, or didn't used to at least?
I think it's when I came home, it's like, oh, and you sound like, and it was a fun thing to make fun of. It was fun for them. Okay. And Stockton is like a bubble. Like LA can be a bubble, you know? Stockton is a bubble. And it's limited ideas and limited views, which is the reason that I'm so excited that our industry is expanding and accepting and being more inclusive of different voices and different stories of different backgrounds, of different lifestyles, because without that, we're in a bubble and we stay in a bubble.
Yes, absolutely. It's so exciting.
Yeah.
But I think we can push it more in terms of sound.
Oh, 100%.
Because I think right now on screen, when you see someone, you expect to hear a certain thing. And when you don't hear the sound that people expect, then they're not going to like the show. They're taken out of it. And I think the more that we push that, the better it will be.
Yeah, 100%. I 100% agree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, well, that's it. That's our show. Now we know.
Nailed it.
Nailed it. Have you done any roles with different accents?
I've done like a light Southern accent, which I loved. I want to dabble more in accents.
Yeah.
That is something I'm really excited to dip toes into.
Do you feel like you get typecast more when you speak the way you speak?
Yeah. And I also feel like I've lost a lot of jobs because I sound the way that I sound.
Really?
I've literally been told, like, yeah, it's the way that you sound. It's you and another girl, and it's the way that you sound. It's your voice.
That's
your
so
work is great. They love your look, but it's the way that I've literally been told that for big shows.
Do you put accent work into your character work or auditions?
Yes. And it's also kind of hindered me sometimes. One of my acting coaches, I was trying so hard to, like, after hearing, like, I lost jobs over this. Wow. It was like 3 jobs in a row I had lost because of the sound of my voice. And I went in to test for Lincoln Lawyer. It was actually Lincoln Lawyer. Went in to test for Lincoln Lawyer. Sounded like myself. And then when I got, we got picked up after the COVID, and I'm like, okay, and I'm going to work on my voice, and I did all these voice lessons to drop my voice down and do all this voice work, and it was screwing with my work. And my acting teacher's like, what? I've been training with her for years. What are you doing? And I was like, well, I'm trying to work on my voice. I'm trying to do this, like, whole voice, like, drop down on my lower register. And she's like, why? Did you book the role with that? And I was like, well, no. And she's like, I don't understand. Like, what are you trying to accomplish here? That's not, if you didn't book the role with that, they want you. What is that? Yeah. How does you changing your voice integrate into this? They didn't ask for that, did they? And I said, no. This is just me trying to think of, like, how I can, make myself better for the role and not sound like something that, whatever that percent. And that's why I say the therapy is, like, such an important thing.
I think for all actors, in any aspects, not just working on your voice or anything, but, like,
because
actors go to therapy. It's really important.
It's really important.
Your job is to feel.
Really
your
you
job
have to feel.
is to feel. Yeah, so you have to take care of yourself. Yeah. Your job is literally to feel.
Yeah.
It's hard.
And you can't feel completely with the insecurity, and because you're holding on to something that someone said once that has affected you. And it's like, yeah, you hear a voice thing from casting, but it's also a voice thing from childhood. And those two marry together, and you're like, how am I supposed to, like, okay, clearly it's an issue if I'm losing jobs in my like the people that I need to hear the validation from are telling me that this is an issue.
Right.
What do I do with that? How do I fix that? And so I tried to fix it for Lincoln Lawyer specifically, and my acting teacher was like, your work is suffering. Do you realize that? And I was like, is it?
Wait, but I kind of want to see your role, but with that voice.
Yeah, she was not having it. And she's, like, one of the people that she's not going to sugarcoat things. She's like, it's shit. Yeah. Excuse my French. Like, it's not working. It's bad. So stop. And I was like, okay, well, And so I work on my voice in very specific ways now. It's not so much of, like, let me sound the way that someone else wants me to sound. But if I get a role for something, I think, like, there's certain roles that call for certain things, and there's certain roles that the backstory of them may create certain things. And Tom Hardy's someone that I really admire because he has a different voice in every single thing. You watch him in Batman versus Peaky Blinders versus that, wrestling movie he did. He has a different voice in every single thing. And he really works on the complete character as a whole. And sometimes that's the way where I come from when it comes to a role. But it's backstory involved, not necessarily voice involved.
Exactly. You're doing a voice for a reason. It's not just like, no, I'm going to talk like this because this is how my character talks. It's like, why does my character talk like that? Who loved them? Yeah. And what did they love growing up? Yeah.
It's like the backstory behind it that will inform the voice versus, me informing a voice because so-and-so told me that I need to, it's a very different process, I think now. Yeah.
That's fascinating. What kind of accents would you love to play other than this soft Southern one that you did?
Jamaican and Irish.
Yeah, you should. Have you started working on them yet?
No. Jamaican briefly. When I was with my friend's family, it's weird when you're around it for a certain amount of time that certain things just start to come out of your mouth and you're like, oh my goodness, I'm Jamaican.
I love that.
Right?
Yeah.
But I want something that calls for something a little bit deeper where I have to train my voice for something. And I honestly don't care what that is. Of course, Jamaican and Irish are the most attractive to me because I love the way that they sound. But honestly, I'm open to doing any accent that pushes me to train my voice in a different way.
Yeah.
Like this. Like this.
Like this.
You got
I
it.
want to see the Jamaican girl who speaks like this too. I love that. Yeah, it'll be great. I love it so much.
Good.
It'll be fantastic. Yeah. All right, so let's see. You're gonna do a Jamaican roll. You can put that in your manifestation. You're gonna do an Irish roll. You can put that in your manifestation. What are your other goals for yourself in terms of loving your voice?
There's a couple. There is, I want to get to a place where I don't have to go through all of the vocal exercises, affirmations to just wake up authentically with my voice.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like it's habit. Like it's been the last couple years that I've had to realize, what do I really sound like when I'm authentically myself?
Yeah.
And in order to get to an authentically sounding place, I have to do all of these things because my default is to sound, like go into my higher, to be friendly and, like, no, it's okay. Like that is not necessarily me living in my truth.
Right.
So my goal, my hope would be to start from a place that's without having to, of course I want to do my affirmations and I want to meditate and all of that stuff is great, right? But I want to start from a place.
You want that to be your base level.
That to be my base, my default to be that.
Yeah.
Versus, but it's also 30-something years of unwiring and dismantling all of these different things. But that's one of the biggest goals and hopes that I have for my voice. Outside of that, I love to sing. I don't think I'm the best singer, but even when it comes to karaoke, I'll go to a karaoke bar and I'm like, oh my God, who's here? No one cares about it. It's karaoke,
It's
right?
karaoke, yeah. It's acceptable to be terrible.
90% of the people are not great.
Right.
But me, I'm like, I want to get to a place, and I think it has a lot to do with the acceptance of what I sound like. I want to be able to just sound like whatever I sound in any environment, whether I'm singing, whether I'm talking. I just want to be able to sound like whatever I sound like and give myself free agency and free reign to do that.
Yeah.
That's like that for my voice, that would be the goal.
I love that.
Because accents and all of that stuff is training. I can put in the work and I will put in the work. And that's a training thing. But to have self-acceptance over what you sound like is a whole different
Well, and
arena.
also all the work you're doing as well, you can add in that you're releasing tension from these different areas that might be used to being tense.
Yeah.
And speaking in the certain way that you did, and then just like, just releasing into your belly.
Yeah.
I recently had sort of a similar experience where I learned how to step into my own voice a little bit more, even though I'm a voice coach and I think about breath and voice all the time.
All the time.
There's sirens in the background because we're in Hollywood, but we're just going to ignore it. So
Fair
that's
enough.
going to be okay. But I had a baby in 2020, and then I carried her really low, really weird in my belly. And so my belly got huge and my abs split from my breastbone to my pelvic bone.
It's wild to me.
It happens a lot.
It's like, I know, but it's like, it's what the concept of that is like what the female body can do is wild to me.
It is wild. And luckily we have the technology now to sew someone back up. So a doctor sewed my abs back together. And after that, I was so like cinched up that I literally could breathe differently. Because I grew up as a dancer and I grew up not breathing.
Dancing.
Yeah.
It's wild. Yeah.
I still swing dance all the time in New Orleans or salsa
how
or whatever. It's so fun. But I grew up as a dancer, so I grew up like not breathing, and I would breathe just up here. So my voice was all in my throat, and I grew up in the country, so I had like a country accent from Kansas, and so breathing into my belly, that was all cinched up.
Yeah, it's a whole different thing.
It was the first time that I've been trying to access that for the 10 years that I've been doing this professionally, or more, because I was in acting school. Like I've been trying to get there,
into the,
for so long, and finally I was like, oh, wow, this is a whole new ball game. And actually, I did start singing as well.
Did you?
You should, you should do that.
Yeah, it's like, and my family is so musical. My family sings, they play piano, they play the drums, like they're very musical. And it's like, it always scares me because, you know, you're not as, it's like, that's not my arena.
Right.
I love it, I enjoy it, but that's not, I'm never thinking that I'm going to be a Beyonce and put out an album. That they're a whole different breed in that way. You know what I'm saying? They have done that.
You are a professional dancer.
True.
Don't push yourself that hard. You're already amazing. So yeah, maybe you could sing and be that.
I receive that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You were in the Alvin Ailey company at 16.
I trained at Alvin Ailey. I danced with the first company and I got offered the second company. But
Jazz, do you know how much of a big deal that is? I know you know, but for everyone else listening or watching, that's a big deal.
It was a big deal for me and my mom because we went and watched Alvin Ailey every year since I was 8.
Wow.
And that was like a...
Wow.
You know?
So cool.
When I got accepted into the... Like, that to me was...
Wow.
Yeah.
Jazz, this talk has been so incredible. And I am honored to be sitting here in your presence.
Oh.
I am honored to be receiving the gifts of you just sharing your life with us. Thank you so much for that. And thank you for taking the time for this.
Thank you. I always love talking to you. You have such insight and just a wealth of knowledge, and your energy is just honestly, truly one of a kind.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Now, where can we see you next?
Lincoln Lawyer Season 3.
You're filming that now, right?
I just started this week.
Wow.
Yeah, so we have a few more months of filming, and then we're supposed to premiere summer.
Wow.
Yeah.
How was that for 8 months being off and then coming back on?
It was probably one of the hardest times of my life. It was like another mini COVID.
Yeah.
But the whole world was still going, and we weren't. And it took a lot of reevaluation. It was a lot of reevaluating, like, what am I doing with my life? Like, is this something that I want to do? We went through COVID, and then we go through the strike, and it's like, how can you sustain life like this? It was really trying.
Wow, so this is your first week back then.
Woo-hoo.
Congratulations. And you still showed up here after your first week of work.
I sure did.
Damn, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. All right, bring it in. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in to Unmuted. If you haven't already, please like, leave a comment, and subscribe. See you next time.